What is going on, my fellow watchers of the multiverse? MissedThePart here, back again with another brand new Marvel vs. DC Tales episode, and in today's video, we're going to be going over a story that I wanted to talk about for a very long time, and that is a team up between Batman and Symbiote Spider-Man. So I can't wait to dive into this fan fiction, and before we begin, I do want to make a big announcement, my fellow watchers. We have a brand new Twitch where we're going to be doing different live streams. Some of the streams we're going to be taking live requests. Some of them we're going to be writing live fan fictions or original stories. And some of them we're going to be having live discussions with you, the viewers, my fellow watchers, and that's going to be very interesting. So I would highly recommend that you guys click the link in the pinned comment and in the description down below, as it's going to go a very long way, and we're going to continue to do live streams here on YouTube as well. And I do want to say that we've already done over 34 video requests that were in the live stream, and now we just have to upload those videos. So again, do make sure to look out for that. We're going to have a schedule for you as soon as possible. But that being said, let's dive into the brand new Marvel vs. DC Tales episode. Gotham's skyline loomed over the city like jagged black teeth, silhouetted against a swollen, sickly moon. The rain had come down in sheets earlier, soaking the cracked pavement and pooling in the deep gaping wounds of an urban battlefield that never knew peace. Now a thick, cold mist slithered through the alleyways, curling around flickering street lamps and rusting fire escapes like grasping phantoms. The heartbeat of the city was a low, distant thrum, cars moving like veins pulsing with dull electric light, the occasional siren howling through the night like a wounded animal. But beneath the surface, buried in the bones of Gotham's past, something unnatural stirred, something wrong, deep below the ruins of a once glorious theater, one that had long since crumbled under the weight of Gotham's corruption. Hidden tunnels stretched beneath the city, remnants of forgotten smuggling routes from a bygone era. And in those tunnels, surrounded by crude machinery fused with stolen Wayne Tech components and experimental Oscorp technology that had no business existing in this world, Victor Freeze stood before the future. His ice blue eyes flickered beneath his crimson goggles as he adjusted the control panel of the makeshift device, his breath misting in the frigid air of his sub-zero domain. He had built this machine not for conquest, not for power, but for salvation, his Nora's salvation. The technology was unstable, the science imperfect, but if the theorists were right, if the whispers of interdimensional possibilities held even a grain of truth, then somewhere out there in another world, there existed a reality where he had succeeded, a world where he had found a cure. And if he could open a doorway to that world, if he could seize that knowledge, he would rewrite fate itself. The machinery whined as it powered up, arcs of unstable energy crackling across the tunnel walls. And then, as if the universe itself hesitated, the space before him shimmered, not like glass, but like something alive, something breathing, stretching outward, the edges flickering like an old film reel struggling to stay in focus. And through it, through the shifting distortion of space-time, a figure appeared, Hobgoblin. A ragged, grotesque laugh crackled through the tunnel as the cloaked figure hovered just beyond the rift, his twisted skull-like mask illuminated by the flickering orange glow of pumpkin bombs strapped to his belt. His eyes gleamed with malicious amusement as he peered into Gotham, a city so different, yet so familiar. His world was a battleground of costumed gods and monsters, a chessboard where men like Norman Osborn played puppet master. But this was something else entirely. He could feel it, The raw, unfiltered darkness of Gotham. The stench of decay and fear baked into the streets themselves. And he liked it. Well, well, Hobgoblin purred, his voice dripping with theatrical arrogance. I don't believe we've been properly introduced. Victor Freeze, isn't it? Or should I say, Mr. Freeze. His laughter was grating like a rusty blade dragged across bone. You've done something truly fascinating here, my frozen friend. A little peek into the unknown, a gateway between worlds. I must say, I do admire a man with vision. Freeze's expression remained impassive beneath his armored exosuit, but his fingers twitched near the temperature gauge of his cryogun. He did not trust this man, this creature, with his hunched posture and twitching fingers, his wild, unpredictable energy. But if this hobgoblin possessed knowledge of interdimensional physics, if he had experience with this kind of technology, then perhaps for now, he was a necessary risk. This technology is not for you, Freeze said, his voice low, glacial, measured. It serves a singular purpose. Hobgoblin let out another eerie chuckle, drifting closer, his tattered cloak rippling as if caught in a phantom wind. Oh, come now, let's not be selfish. You seek to save your beloved. I seek, well, chaos, mostly. But imagine the possibilities, my dear doctor. If we refine this technology, if we perfect it, we won't just be peeking into each other's worlds. We'll be tearing them open. Can you imagine it? The greatest minds of my world, the most brilliant and dangerous minds of yours, all colliding in one grand, beautiful explosion of madness. He leaned forward, his grotesque mask inches from the shimmering rift. And who knows? Perhaps someone in my world already has the knowledge you seek. Perhaps, dear Victor, you simply haven't looked far enough. For a long moment, the cold, sterile silence of the laboratory was broken only by the hum of machinery and the distant rhythmic drip of melting ice. Freeze considered the proposition, his mind a fortress of logic encased in frost. He had no patience for fools, no desire for power, no interest in chaos. And yet, if this alliance, however temporary, brought him closer to his goal, was it not worth the risk? Above, Gotham's restless shadows stretched long beneath the streetlights, and on the rooftop of a nearby building, perched like a living gargoyle, Batman watched. The Dark Knight had spent the past week tracking the strange energy, signatures emanating from Gotham's underbelly, tracing them to this very location, and what he saw now made his gut tighten with unease. He had dealt with Mad Hatter's mind games, Scarecrow's nightmares, even Ra's al Ghul's twisted visions of destiny. But this was different. This was science pushed beyond reason, a force that did not belong in this world. And if there was one universal truth, one undeniable constant that had governed Gotham for decades, it was that nothing good ever came from men who tried to play God. Then, in the next heartbeat, something ripped open the night. A new portal, smaller but violent, suddenly tore through the air above the alleyway, and from its convulsing depths, a figure was hurled out, crashing onto the rain-slicked pavement. Spider-Man. He landed in a crouch, his black suit glistening under the dim glow of a flickering neon sign, droplets of water sliding off its smooth, unnatural surface. The symbiote pulsed along his form, responding to the tension in his muscles, sensing danger before he even had time to process it. His breath was heavy, ragged, his mind still spinning from the unnatural pull of the portal. He had chased Hobgoblin through the rift, tried to shut it down before it stabilized, but it was too late. The lunatic had escaped into another world, a world that felt wrong. The air was heavier, the shadows darker, the city itself seething with an unspoken malice. Then he looked up and saw the figure standing above him on the rooftop. The pointed ears, the flowing black cape, the piercing, predatory eyes. Batman. For a long, tense moment, neither moved. Then Spider-Man straightened to his full height, cracking his neck as the symbiote rippled across his shoulders. "Okay," he muttered, shaking off the last remnants of interdimensional whiplash. "This is new." The bat glared down at him, voice a low, ominous growl. "Who are you?" The rain fell harder. The night held its breath. The silence between them was a living thing, coiling in the rain-soaked air, like a predator waiting to strike. The neon haze of Gotham's distant skyline cast jagged reflections against the slick pavement, shadows twitching and shifting as if the city itself was uneasy. The weight of the moment pressed down like an iron fist. Two worlds colliding, two legends standing in the eye of the storm. Batman didn't move from his perch, his cape hanging like obsidian wings, his gaze cold, calculated. Even from here, he could tell the man beneath the black suit wasn't normal. The way he stood, the way his muscles coiled with something unnatural, something alive. It wasn't just a costume, it was part of him. The way it rippled and tightened around his frame, the way it gleamed like oil under the dim light. He had seen symbiotic relationships before, creatures that fused with their hosts, reshaped them, and those things were never to be trusted. Below, Spider-Man tilted his head slightly, sizing up the dark figure looming above. He had been thrown into some kind of alternate Gotham, a version that felt even more cursed than the one he had briefly visited before during his past multiversal encounters. But this Batman, this guy was different. He exuded something heavier than just intimidation. He wasn't just a hero in a cape. He was a presence, a shadow that the entire city bent around. For the first time in a long time, Spider-Man felt something alien curl in his chest. It wasn't fear, it was uncertainty. Then Batman dropped from the rooftop, landing soundlessly just a few feet away. The movement was fluid, controlled, predatory. He didn't reach for a weapon, didn't break eye contact. He didn't need to. "Who are you?" The question came again, this time a low, steady growl, just above the rhythm of the falling rain. Spider-Man exhaled slowly, cracking his knuckles as the symbiote pulsed along his arms. "You first, big guy. You look like someone who took Halloween a little too seriously." Batman's eyes narrowed. No nonsense, no humor, just calculations. Gears turning in that impossibly sharp mind. This man was fast, strong, enhanced by something unnatural, but reckless, impulsive, emotional. "I don't have time for games." Spider-Man let out a dry chuckle, shaking his head. "Trust me, I didn't exactly plan on crashing into whatever gothic nightmare this place is either. I was chasing someone, red cape, pumpkin bombs, loves to laugh like a lunatic." His tone darkened, the symbiote briefly tightening around his fists as old anger surfaced. Hobgoblin. Batman's stance didn't change, but Spider-Man didn't miss the flicker of recognition in his eyes. "You know him?" "I do now." Batman turned slightly, glancing toward the alleyway where the rift had collapsed. The readings, the anomalies, the strange energy fluctuations, it all made sense now. Some kind of interdimensional breach. A man from another world. And if what he was saying was true, that meant more threats were bleeding into Gotham. Spider-Man exhaled through his nose, the humor in his voice gone. "Look, I don't know how I got here. I don't know how to get back. But I do know that if Hobgoblin is loose in your city, that's a problem. And I don't exactly trust the guy to play nice with the local freaks." He took a step forward. "So, what do you say? Pointy ears? Truce." Batman didn't respond immediately. He could hear the subtle shifts in the man's voice, could detect the tension buried beneath the sarcasm. He was younger than expected, but there was something else. Rage. Not the kind that burned bright and reckless, but something deeper. Something that had been brewing for too long. And then there was the suit. Batman's voice was measured, careful. "The thing you're wearing, what is it?" Spider-Man hesitated, the symbiote curling slightly over his forearm like a living shadow. "It's complicated." Batman's tone darkened. "Start explaining." But before Spider-Man could speak, a deafening explosion ripped through the night. Both men turned in unison, instincts kicking in as smoke and fire billowed into the sky from somewhere further downtown. The roar of destruction was followed by the distorted cackle of Hobgoblin, amplified through some kind of crude speaker system. Ah, Gotham. What a city. So much pain, so much misery. I think I'm gonna love it here. His voice was a screeching blend of amusement and madness, carried through the broken streets as more explosions followed, painting the skyline in bursts of orange hellfire. Batman was already moving, his cape whipping behind him as he leapt onto a nearby fire escape, grappling up toward the rooftops. Spider-Man watched him for half a second before shaking his head. "All right, fine. The brooding thing is kinda cool," he muttered, before webbing after him. Deep in the hidden tunnels, Mr. Freeze watched the chaos unfold with cold indifference. The flickering rifts still pulsed behind him, unstable, imperfect, but enough for now. Hobgoblin's distraction would buy them time, but he knew Batman. Batman was relentless. Batman would come. Freeze turned back toward the control panel, his gloved fingers adjusting the dials carefully. He needed more power. He needed more stability. If this machine failed, if the rift collapsed before he could retrieve what he needed, no, he would not allow that. Hobgoblin may have been playing a game, but for Victor Freeze, this was war. A war for his wife's life. And nothing, not Batman, not this strange new interloper, not the very fabric of reality itself, would stop him. The rooftops of Gotham blurred beneath Spider-Man as he swung through the stormy night, the cold wind cutting through him like knives. The symbiote hummed against his skin, attuned to his growing adrenaline, whispering to let go, to unleash, to show Gotham's monsters what real terror looked like. But even as he pushed forward, following the trail of destruction, he couldn't shake the feeling crawling up his spine. This wasn't just a city of crime. This was a city of ghosts. And something worse than Hobgoblin, worse than Freeze, worse than any villain he had ever faced before, was watching him, waiting and smiling. The city burned, from the shattered rooftops of Gotham to the fractured streets below. Fire and chaos carved a path through the darkness like a wound that refused to close. Smoke curled into the sky, thick and choking, carrying with it the acrid stench of destruction. Hobgoblin's laughter was everywhere. It echoed off the monolithic towers, rebounding down the labyrinth of alleys, filling the night with a chorus of madness. His glider screamed through the air, weaving between collapsing structures, and each time he passed, another pumpkin bomb went off, splintering concrete and twisting metal into jagged ruin. And beneath it all, in the ruins of the Wayne Enterprises research facility, Mr. Freeze's machine was reaching critical mass. Sparks arced across the control panels as the portal in front of him trembled, its edges unstable, flickering between worlds as if gasping for breath. The readings were erratic, unstable, but there was something else, something deeper calling back from the other side. A force beyond their understanding, beyond control. But Victor Freeze had no interest in control. He had no interest in Hobgoblin's chaos, in Batman's sense of justice, in the so-called Spider-Man's desperation to close the portal. None of it mattered. Only Nora mattered. And if it meant tearing open the fabric of reality to find the cure, so be it. The machine surged, the air itself growing thick with distortion. And in that moment, the moment before everything shattered, Batman and Spider-Man arrived. Batman moved first. He dropped from the shadows, his cape billowing out like a specter of the abyss. And before Freeze could react, the Dark Knight was already on him. His fist struck like a hammer against the cryosuit's chest plate, sending a shockwave of force through the metal, causing the glass of Freeze's helmet to briefly fog over. Victor staggered, but he was already countering, his gauntlet releasing a blast of sub-zero energy that crystallized the very air between them. But Batman was faster. He twisted at the last second, his cape sweeping around him like a shield, absorbing the impact as he rolled across the frost-covered floor. In a blur of motion, he hurled a thermal batarang directly at Freeze's power pack, only for a pumpkin bomb to intercept it mid-air. The explosion rocked the foundation of the facility, sending debris cascading from the ceiling. Batman was forced to move back as Hobgoblin descended, perched on his glider, eyes burning with wicked delight. "Oh, come now, Bats," Hobgoblin taunted, his voice rasping with glee. "You didn't think I'd let you have all the fun, did you?" He reached into his belt, pulling out a cluster of pumpkin bombs, their carved faces twisting into something unnatural, the flames inside flickering with something black. "Let's see how you handle a little taste of the unknown." He hurled them. But before they could reach Batman, a web line shot out of the darkness. The bombs were yanked midair, redirected with precision, and before Hobgoblin could react, they exploded right in his path. The force knocked him off balance, his glider spiraling erratically, and in that instant, Spider-Man was on him. The black-suited wall crawler tackled him in midair, twisting their trajectory as they tumbled through the frozen ruins. Hobgoblin snarled, clawing at him with razor-edged gauntlets, but the symbiote moved first. Tendrils lashed out, gripping Hobgoblin's armor, sinking into the metal like black veins infecting a body. Hobgoblin screamed. Something was wrong. The symbiote reacted violently, sensing the madness in its prey, tasting the chaos in his mind, and it did not like it. It tightened its grip, suffocating, crushing. "Stop!" Batman's voice cut through the mayhem like a blade. For a second, Spider-Man hesitated. A second too long. Hobgoblin activated his glider's emergency thrusters. A shockwave of fire and concussive energy blasting Spider-Man away. The symbiote reeled, retreating, leaving Peter breathless and disoriented as he crashed into the icy ground. And then, in that moment of weakness, the symbiote whispered, "They are weak. Show them power. Take control. This world could be ours." Peter clutched his head, breathing heavy. The voice was getting stronger, and Batman saw it. He saw how the suit twitched, how it reacted not just to Peter's will, but to something else. He had seen darkness consume men before, seen what happened when power was left unchecked. He couldn't let it happen again. And so he did the one thing Spider-Man didn't expect. He attacked him. The strike was precise, controlled. Not enough to injure, but enough to disrupt. Batman's gauntlet-connected punch struck Spider-Man square in the side, sending him staggering. The symbiote flared in anger, tendrils snapping out, and then Batman activated the sonic pulse. A high-pitched, piercing frequency ripped through the air. Spider-Man screamed. The symbiote shrank back, writhing against his skin, its form becoming unstable. Peter clutched his head as the black tendrils convulsed, as if caught between wanting to escape and wanting to fight back. "You need to get control of that thing," Batman said, his voice low, firm. "Now." Peter forced himself to breathe, forced himself to pull the symbiote back. He had let it get too close, too deep. "Fine," he muttered, shaking off the lingering tremors of the sonic attack. But next time, a little warning would be nice. Batman didn't respond, because at that moment, Freeze made his move. With a final surge of energy, the portal began to tear open wider than before. The air vibrated with raw power, reality itself starting to fray at the edges. Freeze, despite the damage to his suit, staggered toward the threshold, reaching out his final desperate attempt to pull Nora's salvation from the void. But what came through wasn't salvation. What came through was a monster. The portal convulsed, something huge, black, and pulsing with hunger oozing forth, its gaping maw lined with jagged teeth. Its white, featureless eyes gleamed with insatiable hatred. A deep, inhuman voice rumbled from within. A voice that should not have been here, should not have existed in this world. "We are Venom." And then, everything collapsed. The facility imploded, the portal folding in on itself, sucking Freeze into the void before Batman could reach him. The force of the collapse sent Spider-Man and Batman hurling away, debris raining down as the last traces of the interdimensional gateway fizzled into nothing. And in the aftermath, in the wreckage of ice and steel, Venom was gone months later. A dark alley in Central City. The rain poured, drenching the quiet streets. Lightning flashed in the distance. A lone figure stood beneath a flickering streetlight, his crimson suit glistening with water. The flash narrowed his eyes. Something felt wrong. Then, a shadow moved. A low, growling voice echoed from the darkness, inhuman. "Run, little lightning man." And from the shadows, something huge and black lurched forward. Venom had arrived in the DC universe. And that is going to be it for this particular Marvel vs. DC Tales episode. How did you guys enjoy this video? Would you guys like to see a part 2 with the Flash getting the Venom symbiote this time? Do let me know in the comments down below. I would highly recommend that you guys go check out the Patreon, as we have a bunch of exclusive behind the scenes content. And if you guys do want to work with us officially, we do have 3 different tiers right now on the Patreon, so you guys can take a look at that. And also, I do want to say, like I was saying at the beginning of the video, we have a brand new Twitch, and we're looking to garner a bunch of new followers, a bunch of new people into the MissedThePart series, into like the whole realm of MissedThePart. So if you guys are interested in live streams, hanging out, chillaxing, I would highly recommend that you guys give me a follow there, as it really supports the channel, it really supports our reach, and also, who knows, you might be able to have your live request written down live. I mean, I have no idea where it's gonna go, but all I do know is that we're doing some pretty big moves here on the MissedThePart YouTube channel, and I do want to say that you can look out for more YouTube live streams soon, because we are going to be doing more YouTube lives. We're going to try and do more of like a dual-wield type thing, where we're live streaming not only on YouTube, but we're live streaming on Twitch. But again, we're going to have all that information for you as soon as possible with a brand new schedule, so you can kind of look out for that on the YouTube community page that will be coming soon. But that being said, do make sure to subscribe, like, share, and turn those notifications on so you and your friends are all up to date with the latest content. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video, and I will see you in the next Marvel vs. DC Tales series. Thank you, and have a wonderful day. Peace out.